drops, but Trish Toledo. I always pronounce her last name fucking wrong, but Trish, shout out to Trish. She followed me.
She's a good homie, man. She's a really talented singer.
She's very humble too, and she's been through a lot. And you know her story. She made a lot of stuff. But she told me some shit that kind of hit. She was like, "Yeah, you're gonna push far as you can, but doing so, you're gonna lose a lot of friends in the process, or so-called friends that you thought were friends." And it's true. It's really true. So whatever.
Yeah, well, it's kind of everyone has their own vision, and that's how it goes. Like when you have your vision, and there's certain people that are gonna be aligned with it. They're gonna kind of see through that vision, see with that vision. And other people are not. Other people are going to be like, no, I don't see that. I don't see you playing guitar and singing in front of people and being funny and being cool or whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to have to swerve and just keep pushing on whatever it is that you're visualizing.
Yeah, and another thing too, with friends that you have along the way, whether they're bandmates or whether they're just supporters from the beginning, at some point they start to disconnect, because sometimes artists too, we have the tendency of just not thinking about what other people might be considering, they want us for. We might not be thinking that instead of us barely ever texting our friends, but texting them to be like, hey, share my song real quick, on your story.
Yeah.
Is we're not thinking that that's way whacker than us hitting them up hey, what's cracking? What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, when I for my example, when I started doing this, I didn't even tell any of my friends, oh, I'm gonna do a solo project. I'm gonna write my own music. I just went and did it. I booked some studio time, started recording some of my songs. As crappy as they sounded, I still kept going, try to develop them, try to make them better.
That's not true.
Try to make myself better. And it started developing, started making everything eventually nice,
Yeah.
And I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot through the process, but I try not to drag whoever was I thought were my friends to it, because I'm they either jump on it without me asking or they don't,
Yeah.
And a lot of them, some of them did, some of them didn't,
Yeah.
So that's how I saw who my homies were and who really was in my homies,
Yeah.
So
you put the foursome basically.
Oh, you can't force them, but I didn't want to have to ask. You know what I mean? That's my thing. Why am I gonna have to ask?
You guys think
if you see that this, you know what I mean? Offer a hand or do oh, dude, what are you doing? This is cool, Or Or if it's not cool, you're obviously not gonna say anything.
Yeah, of course.
You're oh, just let him do whatever he's doing. I don't care. Okay.
I was just gonna say, not to be yeah, me too, but a lot of the stuff that Nick's saying is because he'll tell me this shit and I'll try to apply it to this current band, man, because this, Put on the Batteries is pretty much the first band that I've been in where I'm actually singing or attempting to try to sing, and I'm in charge. Supposedly I'm in charge. I'm actually in charge. Astronauta was just all right, just stand there, play guitar, just fucking robot. There's not that much responsibility on pouring those in. Now it's I gotta save up budgets. I have to curate fucking time, make sure that I'm not wasting this man Nick's time or David's time, and it's just it's more responsibility, but it's a lot of common sense shit that I just apply, and so a lot of the shit that Nick's saying, I try to apply it to this, man. If that makes sense, I guess.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a mentality for sure,
Yeah. Do you guys think that that your friends necessarily need to be supporters of your music? Okay, I'll give you an example. If I have something recorded, right, and it's just a demo, and I'm over here showing a friend, they get through the song, they're listening to it, okay, and they tell me exactly what they think, and they're actually giving me constructive criticism, instead of them being a yes man, I would actually probably appreciate that a little more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're hey, I took an honest listen. You know what I'm saying?
There's those few that are gonna tell you, oh, you need to work on this, or this sounds weird.
Yeah.
What if you tried something else? And that's cool. I always love when people give me the proper, or not necessarily proper, but just their honest opinion. It goes a long way.
Right. I feel you. What do you think?
I feel I'm learning the concept of that because again, that's why I was emphasizing on like me being like in the front lines with this put on the battery shit. Like I'm kind of like the team captain. So being the team captain, whatever criticisms, negative and good, it's like I have to learn how to kind of like, navigate that shit. Meaning like, like take the criticisms, but not taking them personal and actually taking them in a constructive way. Like I won't put label on blast, but this label that's East Coast or Midwest or whatever, I had submitted like a track because I was looking for like some distribution deal or whatever. So they got back to me like, oh yeah, we like the music, the stuff sounds dope. And they kind of gave a critique on the recording. And, my boy Nick recorded, so I'm like thinking like, oh no, you don't. In my head, I'm thinking like, oh, you don't think like that. But then I had to like manage my fucking ghetto-ness and my blackness. And I was like, nah, but wait, he's giving, it's just, it's a demo, it's an EP. It's like I said earlier, like I wasn't really planning on like, reinventing the wheel with this EP. So I had to kind of like, manage my emotions and just take the constructive criticism and just you can also use it as fuel to kind of like just like what to critique those mistakes or whatever you took those little fucking like those rough edges or whatever. So I'm learning how to do that, man, and not get salty.
Yeah,
I don't know. A lot of musicians won't admit that kind of stuff, but I'm not afraid to
No, a lot of musicians don't like to evolve too. You have to think about that. Some musicians don't like to evolve, and they like to think that they're the greatest already. And it's like, nah, man. Like even if you think you're the greatest, you need to throw that fucking mentality out and always strive to be better. Always strive to learn something different.
Right.
I mean, that's just how it is, man.
But with action though, like it should be like action, like actually like I want to be the type of guitar player, like at least every year I want to learn one or two things, just one or two things, like guitar wise, like whether it's like a metal riff, like something that Bert would play, or just like something, you know what I mean? So it's just like, oh dang, this fool Porno plays ska and punk, but he also has like different like styles and different techniques he can pull out the hat. Like I don't know, man. So that's just for me as a lot of times. Pretty sure.
A lot of times that stuff comes with the whole structure,
Yeah, and also
yeah, of course.
And also something that's important too is personality. How much personality do you have in your music too? Do you sound like a version of, or do you sound like yourself? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask you guys, like, Porno. This is obviously like your project. You recruited them to do the recording and to play for you. Was this something that you guys all kind of agreed on to begin with, or like were you always tapped in to like Porno's project? Did he always like keep you like in the loop? Like, yo, man, I'm working on this thing. I'm trying to like do this thing. Like, because I noticed that like in the album credits, it's like put out by LA Collective, which is you guys, right?
Yeah.
Right.
He put out a couple of demos from his phone, like on Facebook and stuff. And I heard one, I think it was Tattoo or something. I heard a little bit of it. I'm like, oh, this has potential to do something, And then like a year later, he hits me up. He's like, hey, I want to record, and we just start chopping it up. He starts telling me, his situation, what he's trying to do, and I'm like, dude, yeah, let's. And I was interested. I like the music. Purnell's cool. He's a cool gentleman. And yeah, man, I was like, let's do it. I had spare time. I was kind of trying to get into a new little project, because sometimes I need a break from mine and a break from all the other projects I work on. And yeah, man, and that's kind of just how we started, chopping it up with that. And he showed me other songs afterwards, and it was just I right away I kind of had a vision, like a vision of how to bring it to light,
Yeah, it sounds like you guys had like a lot of like attention to detail when you guys were like laying down like the backup vocals and all this stuff.
No, yeah, and we did it kind of quick, man. That was a quick project, a quick EP that we did, and we just did it for so Purnell can have something out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to have something out before we booked any shows, before we before we started doing anything significant.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
I was gonna say, like, Nick said something very important though, like as far as like because when I approached Nick, there's something to be said that's very important. There's a backstory behind that. Because and again, there's no name dropping, and it's all up, to the people that kind of like, nicely and kindly rejected me, but I went to a few other people, and you know, like no one's obligated to anyone. Let's make that clear. Let's be clear on that. You know, so one thinks, you know, there's this delusional like, oh, you have to like work with me. Like, no. But it's a thing that I think that speaks to a man's character and a musician's character when you know, you're an approachable person with a skill set like Nico's, because Nico has a very high skill set. You know, there's other drummers that play like him, but it's just in LA. Like, and I told him this other day. There's not too many drummers in LA, specifically South Central, downtown LA, that play the specific style that, you know, that we play on that level. There's a few of them, but they're hard to find. And, you know, it's just like, and they're not as approachable, not as friendly as Nico. And, you know, like I met Nico at, I actually started talking to Nico, like actually talking like, hey, what's up? Like, hey, you want to smoke a blunt? Like at SKA Invasion, and you know, I always bring it up to you, Nico. Like, it was the one at the Watts Family Center, 2008, 2007 or some shit. Oh, yeah, and you were right there with at his fucking little fucking famous clothing section right there. And you know, I went up to him, and you know, that was the beginning of like just like us just casually talking, like, oh, what's up, Nico? Oh, what's up, Porno? Like just like that. Like it was not music.
You got acquainted like that.
You know what I'm saying? So then when you we got acquainted like that. So when you fast forward to like me kind of him approaching him with like the put on the battery stuff, I feel like interactions like that, like at the SKA Invasion, kind of like helped Nico kind of like, all right, well, this fool's kind of normal. He's not like a fucking serial killer. I'll work with him. You know, like,
yeah, he's not.
And it's just cool. Like, you know, like, because I respect the work ethic, you know, like you can call it dick riding or like, oh, just because I work with you, you have to say that kind of, like, nah, fuck that. It's just, I've always respected this guy's kind of like work ethic. Ralph from the Paranoias as well. I want a bass player that looks just like David Duchovny from the X-Files. And sure enough, Nico came through with his buddy David, and his name's David. Nah, he kind of just looks like David Duchovny, so whatever. But David's a beast on the bass, man. Just like I feel like, you know, like Nico stated earlier, sometimes shit happens, sometimes shit doesn't work out, and it sucks because you'll have certain dynamics and certain pieces or certain musicians that come together, and it's like that perfect dynamic, but it's just whether or not it stays together is to be seen. But like, you know, I would like to say with this certain, you know, group, you know, hopefully we can keep the fucking Gorilla Glue, keep everything together, man, you know, because I just feel like there's a certain dynamic, like.
No, yeah, we're definitely still developing it, you know what I mean? It's still a new project, still on the works. It's not out to the masses like that yet, you know, like it still needs more polishing, you know, and I feel like every project, meaning like album, it's gonna have to be a reinvention of yourself every time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because there's always gonna be a new listener that has never heard of you, despite you having 3 or 4 albums out, that are gonna hear your 5th album are gonna be like, oh, I like this band now. You know what I mean? Or this artist or whatever. So like we're always gonna have to be trying to reinvent ourselves. I think that's always gonna be the case.
Right.
I was in Isolated Victims for like on and off for like 12 years. I would say like 12 years, but Isolated Victims was pretty much a band for 14 years. So the reason why what Nico says has some very strong importance is because I had to like get my sense of self-entitlement. I had a lot of self-entitlement, like, oh man, I've been doing this for over blah, blah, blah years with Isolated Victims, but it's like, all right, cool. As much as I love Isolated Victims, this is a new project now. Like, and I had to kind of like humble myself in a sense of pushing the restart button. Like now it's like all about, like when Nico says like reinventing yourself, that means so many things to me in a sense of like, just like coming up with new ideas, challenging myself as a guitar player, playing guitar and attempting to sing, and you know what I mean? All that shit, man. And just, so this guy is kind of good for pushing me with that type of stuff, but just, you know, it definitely hits because like I had a thing where I was just like for a while just kind of like, oh man, well, Isolated Victims, you know, like I paid my dues, and it's just like, nah, you don't pay your dues. Even when you supposedly make it, you're never done. So the fact that I had that mentality, I had to kind of like just slap myself like, stop that.
Yeah, no, yeah,
good as a musician.
Sometimes it can happen to certain musicians that they get infatuated with their band or whatever project that they're in. You know, they think that, what was that? I didn't hear you. It cut off.
What's up, man? By the way, how's it going?
How's it going? Alejandro, what up?
Man.
No, I'm sick. I'm back.
I'm a lot late.
You were saying?
Isolated Victims is Operation Ivy, and I feel like put on the batteries could potentially be some sort of rancid. Hey, it's David.
Yeah, it's David.
Not the Duchovny. Hi, David.
Not the Duchovny.
Right. Well,
you look like him. When I shave my afro and I shave my face, I look like I'm rich, bitch. So there you go. We're even. There you go.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. So whatever happened with Isolated Victims? Are you guys still active? Or are you still a guitar player even? Or because I remember Frank was starting like a show probably like in like 2016 at the Airliner, and that's like